Just to kind of review what these sound like, I'm just going to demonstrate with a few measures and some things that we can keep in mind for both of these etudes if anyone's working on them, and really for Chopin etudes that deal, or any piece that deals with some of these techniques, because you find these techniques all over. So we're just kind of explore some tips and tricks for each of these things, each of these pieces that can be helpful. Etude Opus 10, number 1. So, definitely missed some notes in there, but you can see the pattern. It's up and down with a lot of stretches. What primarily the interval that the Etude Opus 10 number 1 is outlining is just these chords and their inversions. So, and it's different every time. That one's a 10th. This one, I think, is it looks like a 11th, but it's outlining an F major chord. So we can see, okay, we can start organizing these things in our mind immediately. What chord is this and what inversion is it? So we can kind of think about that. I like to also think of it in pieces. So I would go through and I'd practice like this. So really take advantage of the places that you can reach in one little span. So, and then I practice a rhythm to it. That helps you get right in position. The next thing I do is I would practice a lot eyes closed. For me, the F major on the second little set here is the hardest. I don't know why, but so eyes closed. And I just do this slowly. Find that C, because that's really the problem interval. If you don't hit that C, the rest of it's going to fall apart. So whatever those notes might be, we are going to practice those rhythms. And then I would practice going to the top. If you get that perfect, I do a lot of slow to fast practice, and then coming down. So you're isolating, okay, am I having problems going up or am I having problems going down? These are all different analyses of things that we want to think about really in any piece of music. You could use this for the Ocean Etude, Opus 25, number 12. Same thing, put a rhythm to it. You're always isolating the hard part, the skip. See, coming down is a little different. So you'd start on the top, because this position is easy. You're just going to rotate your hand down. So practicing like that is really not beneficial, but practicing overlapping those little segments, and then to there, and then to there. Whatever it might be, come up with creative new ways to think about it. I got a message from a friend yesterday. She is an incredibly accurate performer, and I just was asking her some of the things that goes through her mind when she plays. She's, in my opinion, probably the cleanest performer I've ever heard play. I listened to 2 rounds of her at a previous competition, and I mean, out of the hour and a half of playing, I maybe heard 4 or 5 note slips. Not big mistakes even. They were just like little, you want to a C and you might have hit a D or something. It was incredible. And she just said, I always am trying to think of new ways to organize material in my mind. And so I think that's really good for Etude Opus 10, number 1. Figure out different ways of organizing those, rotate around the wrist, and then use those rhythms when you're going up and when you're coming back down. Okay, moving on, because I want to be able to include everything in one video. This is the Etude Opus 10, number 11, and I haven't played this one for even longer than the C major. So I'm just going to maybe play the first few measures just to kind of get it into our heads. So, missed some notes there, but there are some really, immediately there's some things that come to mind when I was working on this heavily that I would offer as advice to people who are studying this piece right now. Okay, this piece is surprisingly hard because you have to, there's two elements that are hard. The accuracy, when you go, I missed that the first time through. Being able to go that big of a span in one quick motion takes a lot of practice. What I like to think about is I like to think of the interval as being in a box, okay? And this is the edge. I can't really go any lower than this B flat, and then I can't go any higher than this F. Because most of the times we'll either overshoot it one way and maybe go like that, or we'll overshoot it the other way. So we want to think of being in a box. So you want to hit just the edge of this note. You can hit right on the center of the middle one, and then right on the edge of this note. And keep it as compact as you can in that little box. In a piece like this, you might have the tendency, all this extraneous motion. You just want to keep it really close to the keys, not a lot of horizontal motion. You may even do this. And do your best to have the lid not hit your hands. That's a great exercise to help you be more efficient with your movements. The other incredibly difficult thing with this piece is the pedaling. Whenever you have big rolls, it's easy to let things get cut off in the pedal. For example, going from, you have the pickup and then the first full measure, and then going to the second measure. Going to that note. And then if I change right here, I immediately hear, just a cut in the melody line because I just changed my pedal on the bass, and that would just sound like this beautiful line, and we definitely do not want that kind of sound. So what you're going to do, this is a pedaling trick that will work for literally any piece. If you want the melody to continue and sound smooth, what you're going to do is you're just going to hold the very top melody note throughout the next pedal. And it's so insignificant when it's this high that you're not even going to hear it. So I'm going to go, hold down that B flat, through the pedal change, so then you have a seamless melody line. So for example, I'll demonstrate. Hold the B rather than cutting off everything. So in full tempo, you can't really tell that it's a pedal right there. You need to clear it because it's a harmony change, but holding that top note through the pedal really helps to have just a flowing, uninterrupted line. I hope this has been helpful. I love the Chopin Etudes. If anyone wants me to do any videos on other Chopin Etudes, I'd be happy to. They're available through my website. I've recorded all 24 of them when I was 16, so they're not Murray Pariah's recording of them by any means, but it was a fun project and it taught me a lot about technique. Thanks for joining me today.